Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Edward and this is another episode of Is It Worth Your Money series on Gamers Clinic. In today's video, I will be going over the technical specifications and then sharing with you my feedback on what I liked and disliked from gaming on the GameSir X2 Type C mobile gaming controller that was sent to me for review. And just in case you haven't heard of the brand GameSir, they are a company that develops and produces gaming peripherals, most which are gaming input devices ranging from controllers and gaming mouse. They have been around since 2010 and their products are quite well received in China's gaming community due to their stellar quality compared to knockoff and other off-brand products. So if you like what you see today, feel free to check out the link to GameSir's website, which I'll also leave in the description below. And thank you GameSir for sponsoring today's video. So if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated, and let's slide in the details. I've got to say, before GameSir contacted me, I've only seen their products but have never actually used one because of my negative experiences with other off-brand products. However, during my unboxing of the GameSir X2 Type C mobile gaming controller, the first impression I immediately got was how solid and smaller than expected this controller was. Measuring at 179mm long by 83mm wide and 36mm high, the GameSir X2 is mostly made of white ABS plastic and weighs at approximately 169 grams. The plastic is really smooth to the touch and of good quality unlike most knockoff products. There's also barely any flex when I tried twisting it, which is a good sign that it can take a beating during intense gaming. The contrasting black face and shoulder buttons are also made of sturdy plastic with very little wobble, and there are also two Nintendo Switch themed colored analog sticks covered with soft rubber for increased grip. And talking about the Nintendo Switch, the layout of the buttons follow the exact same layout that you will find on a Joy-Con, including the D-pad, which uses 4 separate buttons. There are also 4 auxiliary buttons, with one being dedicated as an instant capture screenshot button over here, which is a very well thought out and useful feature I really liked. In the center, where the phone will be placed, it is covered with black engraved rubber to protect your phone from rubbing and scratching against the plastic, and there are no signs of poor gluing that gives the feeling that it will fall off after a couple of months' use. There's also a flexible USB-C connector on the left side, which will bend towards you up to 51 degrees to make inserting your phone easier and also prevent damaging the connector itself and your phone's port when removing it. On the back, the GameSir logo is engraved in the middle with a soft textured rubber pad on each side to provide increased grip and also increased comfort. There are also no pass-through headphone ports on the GameSir X2, but underneath the left side of the controller, there's a USB-C pass-through charging port, which is another big plus for me. Setting up the GameSir X2 to start gaming is quite simple, but just takes a little bit of practice at first. You just simply angle and line your phone's USB-C port to the connector, and when you apply a little force, the connector will bend up and slide into your phone's port. And after a blue LED lights show up that connection is secure, you then use your free hand to pull apart the right side of the controller and your phone will slide right in. The GameSir X2 will then hold onto your phone via its spring-loaded mechanism, which is not too tight but very secure. However, it can only hold phones up to 167mm in length and will only work properly with phones with both Android version 9.0 and above and USB on the go enabled. So, moving on to my gaming experience. Over the past 2.5 weeks, while gaming on the GameSir X2 connected to my Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, I've got to say, I'm quite impressed. It's not perfect, but still a very good on-the-go mobile gaming controller. For $70 US, you'll be getting a solid and durable Android controller, I would say on par with the controllers from major consoles. The buttons were very responsive to every press, and the analog sticks were quite accurate without any signs of drifting, which was also a big relief after having terrible experiences with 2 other off-brand controllers. And being a wired controller, I did not notice any input latency when I played fast-paced games from Google's Play Store that supports controllers such as Call of Duty Mobile and Asphalt 9. And since the controller is powered by the phone's battery, the tiny 2 milliamps draw per hour, which is even less when using a Bluetooth controller, is not significant enough to make a noticeable difference for me. So I was able to get the same amount of time of gaming as when not using a controller. But playing Android games with the GameSir X2 isn't what impressed me the most. As with the GameSir X2 hooked onto my Galaxy S8 Plus is almost the same size as my Nintendo Switch, it is like having a portable console with access to AAA titles with me on the go. And not only that, I now have a reliable controller instead of needing to use the on-screen controller, or needing to find something to prop up my phone when using a Bluetooth controller when I'm on the go. The additional ability to use my phone's higher pixel density and display resolution screen to stream those AAA titles from multiple platforms, instead of being limited to Nintendo's library of games, is one of my favorite features that comes from having this mobile gaming controller. And while we're on the topic of cloud gaming, the GameSir X2 works fine with Nvidia's GeForce Now and Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass when I tested some games on those services, and I have not had any issues with Steam Link. And although I couldn't test PlayStation's Remote Play on my Galaxy S8 due to Android 9, it should work fine with phones running Android 10 and above. And according to GameSir, it should also work with other cloud gaming services that are not available for me to test, such as the Stadia and Vortex. Now, for my negative experiences. The first thing that immediately concerned me was the size and how closely cramped together the buttons are to the analog sticks. As I have large hands, usually around the 30 to 40 minute mark when gaming with small controllers, I will start getting a cramped feeling in my hands. This was the case with the GameSir X2 for me. Although there are rubber pads on the back of each side of the controller which made it comfortable to hold initially and provided a good grip for sweaty hands, the controller was still a bit too small for me, as it was a little bit difficult to use the right analog stick to adjust camera view for extended periods. I mean, I understand that if the design was larger, it would be a trade-off in its portability factor, but it was nothing I couldn't fix with a quick break between rounds instead of bringing around a huge controller. And while we're talking about buttons, although it is not a negative thing that bothers me or affects me, but I wanted to point out that if you are a regular Xbox gamer and plan to use this with Xbox Game Pass, then the Nintendo Switch layout of the buttons might require you to retrain your muscles memory, as the location of the X and Y and A and B buttons are switched around. So that is something to keep in mind until Xbox adds button remapping to their app. The only other thing that I disliked was that I had to remove my phone's case every time I wanted to use the controller. It isn't a big issue, but it's just an unnecessary extra step every time I want to do a quick session. Though, if you're using a thin case, say no more than around 2mm of case protruding from the port, then it might fit the GameSir X2. So yeah, overall, at $70 the GameSir X2 does deliver a pretty good value considering the quality and how solid the controller is. And because of the limited controller support from games developers and on Android and iOS App Store, the GameSir X2 is, in my opinion, more suitable for cloud gaming. And as long as you don't mind the slightly smaller size and Nintendo Switch button layout, then this controller could be an excellent choice for on-the-go gaming. So thank you again, GameSir, for sending over this review unit, and thank you as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button as it will help this channel a lot more than you know it, and I'll see you again in the next video.